How's it going, guys? David here, and we have week 4 of the NPL. We are up against PokeTCG Gamer 1288, otherwise known as Rob. He is coach of the Gotham City Golurks. His team is over there. He has a Terrakion and a Crawdaunt, extremely threatening on the physical side for me. I don't really have switch-ins. Tornadus and Hydreigon are both super problematic if they're taunt sets, as I also don't have answers to those. And you see a Ruff-let on your screen. We'll get to that in a second. Rob is 3-0 in our division, in our conference, I should say. And he's a very skilled player. From what I hear, he tops Smogon ladders of like OU, UU, RU, all that stuff. So he's very familiar with competitive battling on multiple fronts, whereas I play RU maybe like not much at all. But anyway, we don't need to deal with that. We have a Ruff-let on our screen. Ruff-let is coming this week because it has a really good matchup, and Rob doesn't have a flying resist because Luxray is not coming versus Sand offense. Banded, I debated Scarf, I debated Focus Sash, but all three sets ended up always being my lead. I always expected him to lead with his rocker in our mock battles, and it usually paid off. They either led with their rockers, or they led with their U-turn mon being Hydreigon, or Tornadus, or Scizor. So I expect that to be the case, and if he decides to lead with his defensive mons, then Banded Ruff-let murders them. 2-hit KOs Slowbro even if rocks are not up, guaranteed, regardless of spread, or it could be Protect with leftovers, it's still 2-hit KO'd. Yeah, that's Ruff-let. The goal is to trade 1 for 1 and hope for the best. So next up we have Spadef Gigalith. It's my bird check, it's my Gardevoir check, it's my Terrakion lore. It's doing a lot. So it also sets Sand for Drill. It's my hazard setter. It's got a lot of weight on its shoulders. It's trying. And speaking of Sand offense, we have Air Balloon Drill, Balloon to deal, so then Ditto doesn't reverse sweep me with an Excadrill. SD in case I get a chance to set up on anything. If I expect to switch to Slowbro or something, I could SD, and then Earthquake does a lot. Adamant because his team is just faster than me. Everything on his team outspeeds me, barring like Golurk, Crawdaunt, and Nidoqueen, and Adamant doesn't change that. So, because I'm not expecting I'm not expecting timid Nidoqueen to come at all, because my slowest mon, my speed goes from 60 to 88 to 85, I should say. So Modest outspeeds my 60s, and Timid doesn't outspeed my 85s unless I'm adamant in those. So I'm not expecting Modest Nidoqueen if it even Timid Nidoqueen. I'm expecting Spadef Nidoqueen if it even comes. So that's that. Up next we have a Dragon Dancing Kamo with Ghostium Z for the Slowbro, soundproof for Gardevoir, Flamethrower for Scizor, because this is the only thing that can actually switch in and check Scizor reliably. It's also my Crawdaunt switch-in. It takes under 50 from Banded Crabhammer, if I'm not mistaken. Don't quote me on that. Next up is Alomomola. Aloe is a Spadef set this week. Waterfall over Scald, because in Sand, Terrakion subs are not broken by Scald, and that is really frustrating because I really wanted Scald this week, but I really wanted Sand, and I couldn't bring both, so I decided on Sand, and we're just going to deal with Waterfall and Toxic. Wish Protect, standard. Nothing fancy about this Aloe. It's just a general check. It's pretty much just here to pass wishes to Excadrill and Gigalith, but yeah, that's that. And then last but not least is a Inner Focus Life Orb Sneasel. Sneasel puts in a ton of work to his team. He doesn't really have any switch-ins to a Sneasel, and I'm Inner Focus over any of the other abilities because I don't really need to get knocked off. I don't care if I get knocked off, per se. I get to keep my Sneasels healthier, and yeah. And Inner Focus lets me deal with a Ditto copying my Sneasel going for Icicle Crashes, because that might be a thing, and it's really useful. So we're just going to jump right into the battle. As you could see, he brought the Terrakion, the Crawdaunt, the Golurk, the Scizor, the Tornadus, and the Slowbro. I had a ton of mock battles. I had more mock battles for Rob than I had for any other, than all three of my other NPL games combined. I was so terrified of this matchup. I'm not a huge fan of this matchup at all. I think because I just don't have answers to Terrak, Crawdaunt, Scizor, Torn, and Hydreigon all on the same team, while still trying to break something like Slowbro and Nidoqueen. It was really problematic for me to try and do. So I didn't feel super confident. I won 2 out of maybe the 12 mock battles I had, but of those, Scizor and Golurk both came only once, so I was super surprised to see both of them. And so I see this team. I see the Golurk, I see the Slowbro, I see Scizor, I see Crawdaunt, Torn. All of those look like solid leads to sort of answer Gigalith lead, especially since if I'm Rob looking at this team, I'm expecting either Chople Gigalith or Chople Excadrill, because nothing here takes a CC if it's like a Choice Banded set or an SD set. So I'm going to stick to my plan. I'm expecting him to lead with anything that isn't Terrakion, and I can lead with Ruff-let, and Ruff-let claims a kill, or does it at least 70% to something. So let's start it up. He leads Terrakion as little Ruff-let here, and I don't have a switch in. My plan is to bluff Scarf and hope he switches into his Slowbro or his Golurk, and just accepting his fate that he will probably lose a Pokemon to this thing. Or he decides, I'm going to click Stone Edge and kill this Ruff-let, because if it's Eviolite, if it decided to lead and it's Eviolite to sort of beat out my Bulkymons, a CC does 50 to it, so I need to Edge to kill it. That is my play. That's my plan. I can't switch out. He can't really switch out. I'm hoping to bluff the Scarf and make him switch out into Slowbro, predicting Superpower, because Scarf's Superpower would kill from this range. We're going to see he goes for a close combat. He wants none of it. He doesn't care if I'm Eviolite. He doesn't care if I'm Scarfed. He's just going. He kills my Ruff-let, and we're starting off this game on the back foot. Ruff-let didn't put in the work I needed it to. In comes the Scizor on my Aloe. As I go for a safe waterfall, I couldn't let him set up in case he was like Pasho Berry or something. I have my very safe switch in to my Komodo. It has Flamethrower. I'm kind of forced to reveal it because it doesn't really break, and I don't want him to like SD or Baton Pass, as he does go for the Baton Pass into his Torn. And I don't know what kind of Tornadus this is. I don't want him to predict and go for like a Focus Blast here as I go into my Gigalith, which is my dedicated flying check. So I'm just going to go into the safe Aloe. I know nothing this Tornadus can do can actually touch me unless it Toxics me. I don't care if it Toxics me, because if it Toxics me, then like Aloe's gonna get toxic eventually. So in comes Aloe. He goes for the Hurricane. He misses. Unfortunate. Overall, it doesn't really matter. He misses again, which is a little rough, but I'm going for the Wish anyway. And now I'm going to switch out into my Gigalith, as I believe he U-turns. And I decide this is perfect for me, because in comes Golurk. I get my Wish back. I debate staying in and trading rocks here, but I don't want to risk it. I don't want to risk popping my Chople on a Dynamic Punch, so I'm just going to go into Alomomola. As he goes for the Stealth Rocks, I can go for a Toxic here, see what he wants to do, as he goes for a Toxic. So this is definitely Fizdef, probably with a Rocky Helmet to check my Kangaskhan. That's what I would do. And then use Slowbro as a Sand check. So I'm just going to toss up a Wish in the air as Scizor comes back in. I know Kamo is really easy to come in. He could probably just Baton Pass here back into his Tornadus, but he ends up showing U-turn plus Baton Pass plus sub. So I know he's not SD, so I'm not super worried about it. But in comes the Torn. I debate staying in, but ultimately it didn't matter. I didn't want to risk it because this is my win con. I go into my Aloe as he Hurricanes. He misses, and he U-turns here as I believe I toss up another Wish as Scizor comes back in. And I believe the cycle just repeats. Nobody's really taking damage with this route. I come in on rocks. He U-turn. No, he substitutes. That's right. As I get the Wish back, he gets some lefties. I'm going to click Flamethrower as he U-turns. And ultimately, I figure I'm getting some good chip damage on this Scizor. Nobody's really getting hurt. I go into Aloe knowing I could take 2 Hurricanes and pass off a Wish. He misses one. That's fine. That's whatever. It's unfortunate, but he's been missing a lot of those. But with this one, he crit, confuses, and I hit myself. Meaning I can't toss up my Wish. So 2 Hurricanes I could have dealt with. And I would have had a Wish in the air for this. Unfortunately, I don't even get a Wish up. And Aloe's pretty low. He goes for the U-turn on my Gigalith. I decide, here's my play. Close combat, Choppleberry activates, and I go for Earthquake. It is a 50% chance to OHKO Terrakion with my investment. I couldn't afford to go less because I needed it. I needed Gigalith to check Gardevoir, so I had to live with a 50-50 on the killing of Terrakion after a close combat defense drop. And from the tone of my voice, you can tell I do not get the 50%. This is after he told me his investment. I went to calc and it was a 50% chance to live. I got a min roll, 91% to 109 or something. I don't know. It was exactly 50%. I just go for a Rock Slide, predicting Torn as he goes into his Slowbro. I decide I can go into my Alomomola. I don't have a Scald Switch in anymore, especially after that crit on the Hurricane. So I could just toss up a Wish as he Psyshocks now, and 2%. I decide maybe he'll switch out or Toxic me or something, or T-Wave, but no, he just clicks Scald. Good play on his part. I had no switch in anyway. I wasn't going to go anywhere. In comes Sneasel. I'm just going to click Knockoff. I want something to die. Get rid of the Crawdon's item, which is a Life Orb. I expected banned, but whatever. He goes for the Aqua Jet. It does not kill me. And Sneasel gets to trade 1-for-1 with the Crawdon. So I don't get 6-0'd. I decide I have to go for a game here. I have to hope that he doesn't go Slowbro or Torn. I'm going to Dragon Dance in its face and hope he doesn't have Ice Punch. He shows Ice Punch, meaning I can't DD again. And he's not in a range if he's Fizz Def to die to a Shadow Claw. Plus, I didn't want to take Rocky Helmet damage. So here, my only play is Dragon Dance, because if he's a bulky Torn with any sort of HP investment, then Dragon Claw does not kill from here because Kamo is a good Pokemon. And I had to bank on him not carrying HP Ice. I had to bank on him missing a Hurricane here, because I expect, based on what I saw in this moveset, I knew it was Hurricane, I knew it was U-turn, and I expected Heat Wave since he wasn't going for Focus Blast on me or Superpower, and then Taunt. Maybe the Taunt, or not Taunt or Toxic. I didn't think he would pack HP Ice, but in hindsight, he didn't show any Life Orb damage. He didn't show, like, I don't know what other move he could have been if he was an Assault Vest. but hindsight's 2020. I had to make the I'm going to dodge this hurricane play because let's face it, what other play do I have right now? But he shows HP Ice for the Landorus, obviously. And in comes Drill. I debated going for SD here, predicting Slowbro, but if he just showed Heat Wave, then I was probably screwed, or if he just went into Terrakion. So I just attacked with Rock Slide to either kill the Torn, kill the Terrak, or get chip damage on the Slowbro. I go for the Rock Slide here to flinch it, and to go for a flinch, which meant that I would have been able to live the Scald and bring it down to a 4-0. And here I decide to go for Earthquake because I forget how mechanics work on Showdown. I figured, alright, I can just go for Earthquake here. I don't have to go for another flinch, and the poison will bring the game down to a 3-0. Unfortunately, that's not how Showdown works, and I go for the Earthquake. I bring him down to the range where Toxic will kill him. He scalds me, and the game ends, meaning he doesn't take Toxic damage, so it's a 4-0. Unfortunate for me, but, you know, what are you going to do? I had a rough matchup. I also probably didn't play the best, or maybe I didn't prep the best. I had that crit confusion hit self was kind of rough. Losing the 50-50 on Terrakion sucked, but he also missed like 4 hurricanes. Granted, I went for Wish on most of those turns, so maybe I don't know, it's too hard to say. But regardless, it was a fantastic game. I liked playing against Rob. It was really fun. And hopefully I will get to play him in the playoffs. We are now 2-2, meaning that it is a real close race for who's making it out in these next 3 weeks. Our next opponent is Skyrander. He's a pretty cool dude. And yeah, we have to win from here. I think our matchups are a lot easier from here on out. So here's hoping that we do well and that we make playoffs and get into majors. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. I'll leave Rob's stuff down below. Check out his side. He's a really cool dude and he has cool narration. And I will see you guys next time. Peace.